Joe from Tacoma, Washington, a.k.a. Big Ten country now, he said, hey, settle an argument for me. Which conference is better, the SEC or the Big Ten? My friend is arguing the Big Ten is better because they won the last 2 national titles. I'm sitting over here saying the depth of the SEC overpowers the Big Ten, but it ends up hurting the conference. First off, Joe, I don't know many guys carrying the SEC flag in Tacoma, Washington, home of the Tacoma Dome, one of the great arena names in our country. So good for you for being brave, if nothing else. I can't win this, Joe. You can't win this. Your friend can't win this. No one can win this debate. This is what Meemaw called four-way action, immunity, meaning both sides of the debate are winners and losers. It all comes down to who's more persuasive, because it really all comes down to your personal preference. If you care about depth versus caring about the very top, you could have 2 totally different answers here. Also, if you're trained in the classical art of debate, this is the best topic imaginable. This is the kind of topic, it's like Bo versus Herschel. If you're any good at debate and the argument is going to be Bo versus Herschel, or it's going to be SEC versus Big Ten, if you really want to flex on your opponent, you tell them, pick whichever side you want. I'll take the other side, I'll beat you. I'll beat you on one side, and then just for fun, we can switch sides and I'll still beat you. That's kind of the way the SEC versus Big Ten debate is right now. So what do you value, Joe? What does your friend value? If you value, for example, the weight of teams at the top recently, like last year, I thought Ohio State and Oregon were better than anything the SEC could spit out. So they've also had the last 2 national champion winners, Ohio State and Michigan. So I would say if you cared about that, then that means the Big Ten's the best conference in America right now. Also coming into this year at FanDuel, the Big Ten has 3 of the top 5 teams in the odds board to win the national title. So early indications are, if you're strictly looking at the top, Big Ten greater than SEC yet again, maybe. But then your friend could say, I don't really care about that as much as I care about overall depth. And if you care about that, the SEC, I think, still rules the day because they got 8 of the top 15 teams. In the odds board right now, the Big Ten has 4. So the thinking there is Ohio State, Oregon, Penn State, Michigan, like any given order, once you get past them, the second layer and third layer, definitive edge to the SEC. Your Tennessees and LSUs and Texas A&Ms and Alabamas measured against your Iowas or Illinois or Michigan State or Indiana, big edge to the SEC. You see my point here. It all depends on personal preference. Like, what's the best color? What's the best room temperature? It really all depends on personal preference. Now, where does this end up mattering? In our hearts? Yes. But in our minds, does it really matter? Does it matter? I heard a lot of yeses there. See, I try and channel what you guys say to me. I know many of you, I actually have done this myself. Hey, quick timeout. Check and see if you're subscribed to the YouTube channel. If you're not, I humbly ask that you click subscribe. It's free. It doesn't sign you up for anything. What it does is it helps us keep this show free so we can just do college football year-round. All right, back to the clip. If you listen to the show, if you listen to like the podcast version of the show when you're working out, you probably talk. First off, you guys have no clue how many people can hear you. I'm not discouraging you from talking. I'm just saying know that people can hear you. But when I ask questions, I could see you in between sets on the pec deck machine saying, yeah, it matters. And, 58-year-old lady on the treadmill is looking at you. It doesn't matter, lady. Mind your own business. Yes, it matters. Okay, well, if you're telling me it matters, where does it matter? Where does conference supremacy matter? Well, Josh, it seems to matter a whole heck of a lot when it comes to the playoff selection process. True, but is it going to matter? They're about to change this thing. You guys know as well as I do. They're about to change the format of this playoff. If not this year, then definitely next year. And the SEC is going to know how many spots they get already. The Big Ten is going to know how many spots they get already. So is it really going to matter, aside from good, like, water cooler conversation, which league is supreme? Well, Josh, yes, because strength of schedule. You know what? You actually just convinced me. Now, this is how twisted this show is. We don't have a studio audience, but yet you're so in tune with the audience that you know what the audience would say, And the audience that is not even in the room right now just changed my mind. So you guys are right about this. Follow me here. It takes a sophisticated sense to understand what's happening. And if you're a first-time listener or viewer, you think this is a little psychotic, that's okay. Stick around, though. It'll make sense in time. You guys are right, though. For those of you saying strength of schedule really comes into play here, you're right. You're right, because I have long banged the drum on this show that I don't think strength of schedule is properly interpreted. And if you're saying it's important to know how deep the Big Ten is or the SEC is, because it's important to know what a 9-3 really means in the Big Ten versus in the ACC, then yes, you're right. And another good point you guys are probably making right now, so let me make it for you, is just because the SEC and the Big Ten know how many teams they're going to get in, there's no guarantee where they'll be seated, which is tied to strength of schedule or perception thereof. So I'm going to be honest, Jesse and Colin, I think we just accomplished more with no studio audience than many shows would if they did a full town hall. They always say, you never change your mind on anything. You just think you're right about everything. Well, of course I think I'm right about everything. Everybody thinks they're right about everything. Otherwise, you wouldn't think the thing. It's a trick question. Your buddy accuses you of thinking you're right on everything. Ask him, do you think you're right on everything? Of course I don't. Really? What opinion do you have that you think is wrong? Yeah. I think I'm right on everything. The important part is being open to having your mind changed. And you guys just changed my mind. You're not even in here. Crazy.